Creative Babble.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
He said all the right things. He wasn't good looking, but it's because of the things he said. It made him more attractive. We were dating a little bit and then he got kicked out of his mum's, he got reported living at his mum's place and they're not supposed to have anyone staying. So I was like, oh, just move in with me for a while until you get your feet, find your feet. And so he moved in with me and that's when things got really bad.
And it got really bad for many of his lovers. I know of at least 9 other women on both sides of the pond who have told me very similar stories. 6 jaded girlfriends and 3 angry wives. And those are just the ones that we know about. His accusers say that he doesn't just con women, he plays the part of a tortured playwright, selling a story that almost feels too real. But behind the curtain, it's all a performance. And in the final act, he doesn't just break hearts, he reportedly vanishes with the money meant for theaters, actors, entire productions. Here's Christiana again, his former production manager.
I just couldn't let him hurt these young people. I couldn't let him hurt the cast members because they were looking to me now. All the people I have brought in for donations, they were looking to me. And if anything happens, who are they going to blame? It's me.
Jayson was funding his play, The History of Now, with donations raised by Christiana, but also with the money he inherited from a dying North Carolina woman named Melanie. Here's Jayson Bartlett.
So how do you get from England to America?
Actually, I met someone through work, through networking. And we kind of hit it off. And, you get to that point where it's like, well, are we going to meet, So I came over and her name was Melanie and she works in the industry and we worked together and we became engaged and she was a big influence on this project and a big influence on me. And then unfortunately 3 years ago, Melanie passed away. So, she made me promise that I would carry on with this project, The History of Now. And that's what I'm doing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's how I came to be in America. Yeah. For me, it was an amazing connection and one that really changed my life in so many different ways. But obviously from a work perspective, because she was just amazing. I mean, it's, I'm a writer, I'm a director. But Melanie was an artist. She was a singer. She was a writer. She just was incredible. So I learned a lot from her. She would love this tonight. She'll be watching this and going, yeah, he's doing okay. So,
That's awesome.
But Melanie's family had no idea how far things had already spiraled out of control. Here's Melanie's daughter-in-law, Tara.
He just showed up out of the blue and, very somber, said that she had passed.
The family had no idea that Melanie had lost her battle earlier in the day. Why did Jayson Bartlett wait so long before breaking the news? I mean, supposedly he loved Melanie and was her fiancé. He sure had a funny way of grieving.
It was the day of Melanie's funeral. He didn't go to the funeral. He went to the court to get named as executor.
The women that I've spoken to describe Jayson Bartlett as a parasite, someone who attaches himself to emotionally vulnerable women, drains them of love, trust, and in many cases their money, and then moves on when there's nothing left to take. After Melanie's death, he didn't just disappear. He simply found his next host, Melanie's elderly mother. But Melanie's children were completely in the dark. The family, they were making plans to spend Thanksgiving together with Grandma, who was living in Connecticut.
And she said that we'd come
but that he was there. And I don't know, it was like this chill went up my spine. I was kind of like, what do you mean?
Melanie's children were in shock. First, he embeds himself into their mother's lives, writes himself into her will, and now he's living with their grandmother?
So I called the FBI, the financial crimes guy here right before Thanksgiving. And he told me, look, you have, because I'm like going into, and there's these companies and I know he's creating companies. He's like, look, we got to start in the inside and work our way out. He's like, the first thing you need to do is get him out of grandma's house.
The family did the best to convince the grandmother to kick Jayson Bartlett out.
At the very end of the conversation, I had to say, don't let him give you anything to eat or drink, please.
The fear is that once Jayson Bartlett inserted himself in Melanie's will, he could have accelerated Melanie's death. I mean, this is completely unfounded, by the way, because there's no toxicology report to support this statement at all, so it's just speculation. But Tara didn't want to take any chances. After all, this is the guy who was living with Melanie right before she passed. He was making all of her meals, handing her all her drinks. It's just speculation, but in situations like this, your mind will go some extra places. During the time that he was living with Grandma was not feeling well and went to the doctor, and the family says that she was found to have arsenic poisoning. This is during the time that Jayson Bartlett lived with them. Again, this is all speculation. But then Marla, one of the actresses from The History of Now, said something that stopped me in my tracks.
I don't know if you know the whole thing with her mother was taken to the hospital and they found arsenic in her blood.
Marla is referring to Melanie's elderly mother.
And Jayson said, oh, it's probably from these vitamins she takes. Now there, I'm just repeating. So there's no evidence, so no, it's not necessarily, it's just, I'm just telling you what I've heard.
I asked the family about these allegations, and the email response that I got was that Grandma, quote, went to the doctor feeling unwell and was found to have arsenic poisoning. Jayson was living with her at the time. We begged her to get an analysis done to see if we could pinpoint where the exposure started, but I don't think she ever did. And I don't think that they'll ever identify the source of the exposure. Unfortunately, we just don't know or have any proof. I definitely don't think it's impossible. But she was treated, and as far as I know, she's been fine since. So in this final installment of The Playwright, we'll look at where things stand with Melanie's family today. And we're going to talk about how these victims all got together to fight back. And I will continue my search for Jayson Bartlett. I'm Javier Leiva, and this is Pretend. Stories about real people pretending to be someone else.
Get unready with me while I talk about my favorite beauty hack, Colgate Optic White Pro Series toothpaste. This unique formula is powered by hydrogen peroxide, which is the same ingredient dentists use to whiten teeth. It's able to dissolve even those deep-set stains below the surface of your teeth. The best part? Twice daily brushing with Colgate Optic White Pro Series toothpaste gives you a visibly whiter smile in just 3 days. Colgate Optic White. Find it at all major retailers.
So you might be asking yourself, didn't Grandma know that Jayson Bartlett used her daughter to finance his play? Wouldn't he be the last person that she wants to let into her life?
I know that she knows that Jayson's a con man.
But then again, what if he wasn't a con man? What if her daughter really believed in him and wanted Jayson to succeed?
Because Melanie, she kind of wanted to go in on this play with Jayson. This was part of her dream, was that she was going to accomplish something in art. She had always, enjoyed acting and modeling and theater and things like that. So I think helping Jayson, giving him a place to live, helping him so that he could complete his play and put it on and like make something of it, you know? I think she felt kind of an emotional attachment to doing that.
But the family had no idea that Grandma was wavering. All of Melanie's children and their spouses hired an attorney, and they were ready to reclaim what they felt Jayson took from them. They wanted him removed as executor of their mother's estate. Here's Chris, one of Melanie's sons.
I mean, she's 84, and, it's like 1 minute she's got nothing nice to say about him, totally all for this lawsuit, and then the next thing he's living with her, and she's, mad at us for having the lawsuit. It's like her perspective on everything just switched.
This conversation with Chris and Tara was recorded in December of 2021. At the time, Grandma was still living with Jayson. The family had reached out to me because, honestly, they didn't know what else to do. The lawsuit was going nowhere, and Jayson Bartlett was fully in control. In fact, he was actively trying to sell Melanie's house in North Carolina. But there was a problem. Melanie didn't own her house. Grandma did.
Nothing that we were doing was actually working.
Yeah, who takes care of her up there?
She does.
Helping Jayson, giving him a place to live, helping him so that he could complete his play and put it on and like make something of it, you know? I think she felt kind of an emotional attachment to doing that. Now she just really is kind of broken from a lot of what happened.
Eventually, Jayson Bartlett moved out of the grandmother's home, and the spell, it seemed, was broken. I gently asked Melanie's children whether their grandmother had been thinking clearly at the time, or perhaps was she beginning to show signs of cognitive decline? They said no.
She's sharp as a tack, I would say.
So how much money did Jayson Bartlett take from Melanie's estate? I took a look at the will, and it specifically says that the executor, Jayson Bartlett, got the majority split of the estate, dividing the rest equally amongst her children. But according to the family, those shares were never distributed. Melanie's life savings, her 401k, even her physical possessions, they were gone.
How much money did he get from the will?
From what we saw, my brother-in-law, I believe, thought there was about $400,000 in assets.
Remember the house Melanie was living in? The one that Jayson was trying to sell? Even though it was under Grandma's name, Sabrina, Melanie's daughter-in-law, said that the money was supposed to go into a trust.
So that he couldn't sell it without her permission, without it going into a trust. And his attorney did not ensure that he was actually following the rules. That money did not go anywhere it was supposed to.
Sabrina says Jayson Bartlett took everything he could.
So all of the cash value from her checking account, savings accounts, investments that she had, the sale of the actual house, all of that is gone.
And that's not to mention the sentimental pieces Melanie left for her family.
She left physical objects to everybody.
Melanie put a lot of thought into what she wanted to leave behind. The wooden Dutch shoes went to one person, the vintage dolls to another, the opal jewelry to someone else. You get the idea. After she passed, all of it was packed and put into a storage unit when the house was sold, waiting for the family to come pick it up.
We just got access to the storage unit that was supposed to have all of her physical belongings, and all of the valuable jewelry is gone. Pawned, sold.
But not all of it was sold. Christiana, the producer who spent much of this time with Bartlett, had seen him wearing jewelry that Melanie specifically left to her family.
He was wearing a diamond engagement ring on a necklace or a chain around his neck, and he would cry. When you would ask him about these things, he would cry, literally drop tears and tell you, this is from my heart. This is from Melanie, who is the love of my life. And he had a cross, he said, was from his mom. So the two people he loved the most are around his neck, and he will never take this off.
After Jayson Bartlett moved out of Grandma's house, they rarely heard from him again. This was back in early 2022, right around the same time I started looking into the story. Or at least, that's what we thought. Just as I wrapped up production on this episode, I got a call from someone new, another woman who knew Jayson Bartlett during the same time period. It turns out that in 2020, right after Melanie passed away, but before he moved in with her mother in Connecticut, Jayson Bartlett had already found someone else. She didn't want her real name used, so we're going to call her Julie.
No, basically, this was during the COVID period of time, so everybody was in lockdown. He had contacted me through a dating site, asked me if I'd like to go out and watch a band and go for dinner, and I said, sure. So I get to the restaurant, and then he basically calls a few moments before he's due to arrive. Then he pulls up, and I'm expecting him to pull up in a car, like most people would, and he pulls up in an Uber. Then I ask him the obvious question, do you not drive? Do you not have a car? I knew that, this is not going to be somebody that I'll date because I don't date people that don't have cars and means, that because I'm coming from a place in my life where I do have means and I want to keep those means. We had a good time. He's very good. He's a good, kind man. He really, really is.
Other than giving him food and a couple of rides here and there, Julie managed to avoid being financially devastated by this man. But she didn't get away scot-free.
He did give me chlamydia. I slept with him once. Fortunately, it was something that could be treated. I had too much to drink. It was COVID. I had no excuse. I was stupid. Much to my horror, I found that out after I told him, look, you really don't need to come back here anymore.
Here's an email Jayson wrote to Julie. I have just seen your message regarding the STD. I cannot come to terms with what I have done. I cannot live with the shame. I have decided not to contest the house to quicken up the legal process so I can repay you in full. I have no reason to keep fighting. I am a stranger to myself and not someone I like. Unquote. Signed simply, the letter J. His signature contained the name Alexander Jayson, writer-director of History of Now, with his actual contact information listed below. Julie tells me that she knew this guy was bad news from the very beginning.
He was without funds, without money, and he would, look at me sometimes and he'd be like, we get along so well, we should get married. I'm like, why would I marry you? You offer me nothing. But right off the bat, he starts asking me, for money and everything. And he asked me, do you want to come over to my place? And, I asked him, I'm like, well, how did you get this house? He immediately starts, I came over to have a relationship with Melanie. That was the first time I heard her name. And, basically the house was ours and she passed away fairly recently, and I'm in charge of all of her assets. As things went on, and I talked to him more because it was COVID. People were bored. I was bored. I didn't have anything to do, so he would just show up on my doorstep, and he would come in and invite himself in, basically because he was hungry. He didn't have any money. I asked him a few more questions, and he said, well, I'm basically having to sell Melanie's purses. She had some designer purses, I guess, in order to buy food. Well, I'm kind, being empathetic. I felt bad for him. So I bought him groceries, here and there, took over extra food that I have because my pantries are always full. And then as the time went on, I think we were out one time at lunch, me paying the bill, of course. It was always someone paying the bill, not him. He always had all this money that Melanie had left him, which I found odd because as we talked more, I found out that he really hadn't known her that long. And I thought, well, why would she leave her money to him with these children involved? Because that's just out of the question for me. I don't care who you are. I'm leaving my assets to the children. And so basically he told me that, she signed everything over to me, just right before her death. And I thought, wow, that's odd, And I'm like, was she in the right state of mind? The thing that made the hair stand up on the back of my neck, He's like, yeah, it was just time for Melanie to go. I looked at him, just the way he said that. I'm like, what do you mean it was time for Melanie to go? He's like, she was suffering, and I'm in the business of helping people. I believe that this man could have given her a helping hand out of this world. It's not just a matter of the financial and emotional harm he could do to women. I mean, I fully believe that he's capable of doing physical harm. Because he definitely gets very angry when you question him.
So to recap, Jayson moves in with Melanie. Melanie passes away. He meets Julie on a dating site. Eventually, he gets evicted from Melanie's house, moves in with Grandma in Connecticut, and after he left Grandma's house, he reportedly moved in with a new woman in Greenwich, Connecticut, about an hour outside of New York City. Now we know that he reportedly moved in with a new woman in Greenwich, Connecticut, about an hour outside of New York City. This is around the same time that he started working on the production of History of Now. The people I spoke with told me that no one is safe from Jayson Bartlett, not his supposed fiancée Melanie, not his dead son, not even his own mother and disabled brother. Remember in part 2 when he married a British woman named Bryony? Shortly after the wedding, Jayson Bartlett moved his mother and his brother to live with them. Well, it turns out that Jayson was cheating on Bryony with another woman named Carol. Here's Carol.
If he knows that one relationship's coming to an end, he's already got the next person lined up.
And you were the next person?
Yeah, I was after Bryony, yeah.
When Bryony moved out, Jayson Bartlett asked Carol, the new woman, if his brother could move in with her.
His mum had moved into a nursing home near me. He came and his brother, and I said they could stay with me for a couple of weeks and until they found a flat or an apartment. He moved in with me and his brother, and he stayed for, he said, a couple of weeks. He ended up staying 5 weeks, and it just all went sort of downhill from there.
Right away, she recognized that Jayson Bartlett was just trying to mooch off of her.
And it didn't work. It didn't work. He didn't drive, so I chauffeured him all over, basically, him and his brother and his mum. He wanted a new laptop, an Apple laptop, which is not cheap. And I stupidly put it in my name, and with him saying that he'd pay me every month to cover it. And, of course, he pays the first 3 payments, and then he just don't pay you.
Carol had enough of Jayson. Of all the women I spoke with, she was the one who got out before it was too late.
I took him to small claims court.
And after threatening Jayson with a lawsuit and contacting a British version of Judge Judy or the People's Court, Jayson finally started coughing up the money that he owed her. But the point I was trying to make was that Jayson just left his elderly mother and disabled brother behind. He dropped off his mother at a nursing home and left his disabled brother with his girlfriend, Carol. Here's Bryony again.
And then his mum was put into a care home for 2 weeks respite, and he never took her out of there. She just got left there. He continued to cash her Social Security payments, her gyros, and she didn't even have money to buy herself a bar of soap or a pair of knickers. In that care home, her clothing belonged to dead residents. His brother just left him with Carol, and Carol couldn't look after him. He just went off with another woman and left him there.
And this is his family.
Yeah. He was barred from visiting his mother or brother at the care home because he only used to go to take money from them. He didn't care who it was. As long as he got the money, he did not care where it came from. He didn't care.
When we come back, there's one item that Jayson Bartlett forgot to take with him. And Melanie's family is going to use it to try to learn more about this man. That's after the break.
This episode is brought to you by the world's first reposado from Tequila Herradura. Made with slow-cooked, hand-harvested agave sealed into oak barrels and aged 11 months. Before being enjoyed in your glass. Experience the world's first reposado, Tequila Herradura. Please drink responsibly. Responsibility.org. Tequila Herradura. 40% alcohol by volume. Imported by Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky. Herradura is a registered trademark. Copyright 2025 Brown-Forman Corporation.
The Nordstrom Anniversary Sale is on now. Shop new arrivals on sale for a limited time from Madewell, Bobbi Brown, New Balance, and more. You'll find tons of deals under $100 on summer-ready fits, plus beauty exclusives from your favorite brands. Nordstrom makes shopping easy in stores, at Nordstrom.com, and on their app. Hurry, prices go up August 4th.
One thing that Jayson Bartlett didn't steal from Melanie's family sent them down a rabbit hole trying to figure out who this guy really was. That was his laptop.
Chris grabbed the computer out of the office, and we were standing in the hallway, and his demeanor completely changed when Chris took it. And you could tell he was trying to control it and act like nothing was wrong, but silently he was freaking out, and we put it in the trunk. And so when we got back here, Chris tried it out and the computer worked just fine. We went to bed. We let him stay here. The next day, computer didn't work anymore. It didn't turn on.
Well, it turned on and then it started to try to boot, and then it shut off, like the power just went off on it.
So one day, the family decides they need to get into that laptop to see what might be hidden. They used a recovery software to get it to work. And then they discovered that almost all of Melanie's files were deleted or in the recycle bin.
Melanie was a very social person. I mean, her Facebook page, there's so much you can find out. She loved to take selfies of herself. I mean, she had pictures of everything. So there's no way she ever would have deleted all of that.
They also discovered 2 more accounts on the computer and some pretty interesting software.
There's this software called Portrait Pro 17, and he has all of these pictures of himself, and they're cut out. And then he has, with the Portrait Pro 17, there's hair. So it looks like somebody's hair, but no face. And there's texture of hair. There's skin textures. There's contact lenses.
Portrait Pro 17 is a photo editing software that helps you retouch photos, specifically people's faces. You can smoothen the skin, take off blemishes, sculpt faces, and even add makeup. It's basically an online con man's dream come true.
There's a picture of Chris's brother, Andy, and then all of a sudden there's Andy with a tie and glasses. I was like, who can help me? So there's just really, really strange files, strange pictures, looking like a lot of fake online people. Every time I look up some of these strange pictures or do a reverse image scan, I just go down rabbit holes. There's fake LinkedIn profiles. There's fake Facebook pages. There's Instagram pages.
Tara, one of Melanie's daughter-in-law, has done so much digging that she found out Jayson Bartlett's scammer pages. She uncovered shell companies that he's opened back in the UK.
He knows how to open account LLC companies in the UK because he had it with one of his plays. He has been known to try and get accounts under his previous wives' children's pages. And I've searched on my name. I've searched on my daughter's name. There are LLC companies that have been created. There's some in the UK. There's some here in the US. They're all created after I've met him. A lot of them have been dissolved. I mean, you can look at and then there's websites
confident
so many
that his name really is Jayson Francis Bartlett.
So there is in the UK a record of a person that was born in June 1961, that Jayson Francis Bartlett with the mother's maiden name of Roberts. And he has his marriage certificate, which I've seen, of his first wife. That was his name.
But in our digging and investigation, we uncovered at least 5 or more aliases, all using the same few names. Jayson Francis Bartlett, Alexander Jayson Francis Bartlett, Alex Jayson, you get the idea. There's even one Facebook account dedicated to warning women about him. Over the years, Melanie's family, Emma, people from the History of Now play, and other victims have connected on Facebook just to swap stories and to try to track this man down before he hurts anyone else. Here's Emma, one of Jayson's ex-girlfriends from the UK.
How did you connect the dots with Tara and Sabrina and all the people that I've been talking with?
I knew you were going to ask this. It's very strange. It was on Facebook. I got a message from, I'm not sure whether it was Sabrina. I think it might have been Sabrina or Brianna, somebody. And then somehow they'd got in contact with other women as well. And all of these women have been, excuse my French, just, can I swear?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they'd been shit on from great heights by the same guy. So it turns out, because I thought that before I met Jayson, I didn't know. I thought he was with his wife and that they'd split up and he'd gone to live with his mother. But no, apparently he'd been rampaging his way through various different women for, a few years before. Well, I don't know if it was before me or after me. I'm not even sure. I think I was a practice run.
You think you were one of the first?
I was definitely a practice run because he didn't take money off me. I did pay for him to have his hair bleached a couple of times, and I did pay for flyers for his play.
My sister-in-law started talking to women in the UK that he was married to and that he had dated. And one of them had taken him to court and won a case, and he never paid her back. Two of them have been bankrupt. And I have the stories. They've sent them. So we started realizing, whoa, what is he doing? He's already taken advantage of at least 5 women that we know of. And we're sitting here working our butts off, making an honest living and not being able to enjoy all the things we could be doing with our lives. And it's like you just out there free.
Christiana, Jayson's production manager, decided that she was going to jump in and try to find other victims of Jayson Bartlett.
I went after this like a hound dog. Anybody, anywhere I found something, I went after it. And finally, I got in touch with Brina, and she shared her story with me. I shared with her. And then they told me what happened with Melanie. And he lied so much. He said Melanie died in his arms. And then I heard the sick story that he kept Melanie's body in the house with him for 1 or 2 days. Because according to him, he couldn't let her go. That was the sick part of it. He couldn't let her go.
This is a thing that I keep seeing over and over again. Victims create these private Facebook groups or private message chats to swap stories, and most of them find this experience very healing.
I'm sorry for everyone, but it was a relief that it wasn't just me. When we got in touch and have this group, of other women, it was a relief. I was like, oh, thank God I wasn't crazy. He did the same to everybody.
I'm sure you keep coming back to the same question as me. Who is this guy really, and where in the world is he? Well, we know he has a mother, presumably she's still alive, a special needs brother, 2 sons, a daughter, 2 ex-wives, and a string of women who are rightfully angry with him.
I mean, the web this man has woven, it is pretty unbelievable. The number of people and the enemies that he has, it's wild.
He's a bad apple, man. He is a bad apple. And the problem is that the detectives and the cops, he's just not big enough to have anybody pay attention.
He just uses women as cash cows, doesn't he? It doesn't even matter if you've got nothing. He'll take what little you've got. He'll just take whatever.
Do you think that he's dangerous? I mean, we know that he's manipulative and that he likes to steal money and all that stuff, but is he capable of physical violence?
I'm not sure. He's got a temper. And it's funny because there was an incident that happened, and when you can't recall the details properly, but there was something. We were on a walk on an edge, and some gut instinct made me walk away from the edge. And I don't know to this day, did I think he was going to push me off the edge? I'll never know.
They all agree that this man is a jerk and he could potentially be dangerous. They just want to make sure he doesn't hurt anyone else. The problem is, Jayson Bartlett seems to have fallen off the radar. There's been no trace of him since 2023.
He doesn't stay in one place very long because he just basically pisses everyone off, and then he just moves to the next state or the next town or whatever.
I've searched and searched, but I cannot find any sign of him. He was finally removed as executor of Melanie's estate in the spring of 2024.
I have no idea where he is now, what he's doing.
And nobody's heard from him since?
I haven't, no. I mean, no one's. I've been checking up on him to see if I can find anything on his Facebook, but there's nothing.
No one knows where he is right now. He's been quiet.
Sabrina told me that after he left Grandma's house, he did mail out a few letters.
And then he sent another one. It was postmarked from Florida. It was not, there was no return address on it. He had said in the previous email, I'm going to move to Florida. I have throat cancer, he said. Nobody knows if he's still there. Nobody knows.
He also told Christiana that he had throat cancer. But with this guy, you can never tell if that's real or just another ploy for sympathy or money.
One day I called him. I said, we need to pay back Joanne her $4,000. He started screaming at me, screaming. And he said, I have throat cancer. Don't you understand? I have throat cancer. And right now my mouth and my throat is full of blood. I've got to go and spit it and wash my mouth and whatnot.
Whether or not he had cancer is anybody's guess. One thing is for sure. Jayson Bartlett is in the United States illegally. Suddenly, opening up his play in Texas makes a lot more sense. He's near the border. Here's Christiana again.
He always wanted to go to Texas because it was close to the border. While we were in Texas, he wanted to know ways he could cross the border and go to Canada because he didn't have any paperwork. So he wanted to find out ways. I said, are you crazy?
I mean, for all I know, he's dead in a ditch somewhere. He ticked off the wrong person or who knows, but like he has hurt so many people and, you know, so many of them just want to stop.
Unless he really is sick with throat cancer or dead, it's unlikely that Jayson Bartlett stopped his scheming. He's not using any of his known aliases, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't come up with a new one. So I made a timeline and began tracking him. His first marriage certificate says that he was born in May of 1961, which would make him 64 years old today. At some point before meeting Emma, there were two wives, Heidi, the mother of his infant son who passed away, and Julie, the mother of his two sons. We know that in the summer of 2004, he was in York, England, since that's when he met Emma, and he's still there in 2005 when Emma is hospitalized while pregnant. And we know that he was in the UK when he met Bryony in 2007. Then, while in the middle of divorcing Bryony in 2011, he met Carol and dated her briefly. We assumed that he moved to the US when Melanie asked him to come over and live with her in North Carolina. But in my research, I found a few court documents that might actually put him in Florida in 1999 and 2010. One is from not paying a toll, and the other is a complaint from an HOA in Orlando. Are these him? Hard to tell. I also tried to see if he might still be working in the theater world. While I was searching for any possible new theater news about him, I came across a crowdfunder site. It's kind of like a Kickstarter page. It says that it was raising funds for Christiana, The History of Now. And the money would be used for, quote, paying artists, background technicians, dressing, marketing, and the production. He was hoping to raise £5,000. The fundraising page makes a lot of claims that we know are blatantly false. Jayson Bartlett claims that the production was performed briefly in 2010 to gauge an audience reaction, and that it was going to premiere in 2015 to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the liberation of the Nazi concentration camp in Poland. However, we know that this show never had an audience until 2023. That's why the most offensive thing on this page is the glowing reviews attributed to Holocaust survivors. Yes, he allegedly wrote complimentary reviews for his own play and said that it was from real Holocaust survivors. Anyway, I continued looking for any trace of him in the theater world today, but that seems a little unlikely.
He's been banned from websites like Backstage, where you used to recruit actors and things for plays. He's been blacklisted from there.
How do you know that?
Because, was it Christiana that contacted them and let them know? Somebody contacted them who was associated with the play that he actually managed to put on and told them that he doesn't pay his actors.
So if the theater world shut him out, where would he go next? Over the course of gathering the story, I was able to get multiple phone numbers associated with Jayson Bartlett, so I decided to give each of those a try.
The wireless customer you are calling is not available. Please try again later. El cliente de servicio móvil al que llama no se encuentra disponible.
No luck. It's also shocking to me when someone manages to disappear from the internet. No posts, no videos, nothing. The guy doesn't own any property. I'll be honest, I think this guy is still out there, whether he's in the US, back in the UK, or somewhere else in the world. I think he's still doing what he does best. If you know this guy or know where he is today, feel free to get in touch with me. My email is javier@pretendradio.org. And Jayson, if you're listening, which I think you are, give me a ring. I'd love to tell your side of the story. Today's episode was written by me, Javier Leiva, and Mackenzie Ames. It was edited by the talented Puneeth Shenoy with the Podcast Pundits. And our theme music is by thechicken.net. I'm working on a new series called The State of Corruption, where I'm going to pick a couple states and show why you should be paying just as much attention to your own state's politics than you are to the national media news that you consume every day. And as promised, I am working on a new LaDonna story that honestly is so shocking. If what I'm about to report is true, she has reached a new low. All right, that's it for today. As always, you can get episodes early and ad-free plus bonus content on Patreon or Pretend Plus on Apple Podcasts. But if you really want to help the show, just text your friend and leave a review. That costs nothing but really helps a lot. Also on Patreon and Apple Podcasts, I've dropped an episode, a lightly edited episode with each of these victims. I'll be releasing them slowly. It's a different experience to hear a raw interview. I don't know if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff. If you are, send me an email. Tell me if you like it. If you don't, I'll keep doing it until I hear otherwise. There's a lot of content that you heard on the show, but there's a lot of content that I just leave on the cutting room floor just because, you know, for the sake of time. But if you're really digging this story, you can get down to the weeds with me. I also want to give a shout out to some of my Patreon supporters: Jennifer Hughes, Amy Hertenstein, Rhonda Grubbs, Marina Turner, Stephen Patrick, Talisa, Amanda Woosley, April Verrigan, Kelsey Maldonado, Katie Ryder, and many, many more who are supporting this show financially. And you have no idea how much that means to me. It's the reason why this show keeps going. All right, well, that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back soon.
Creative Babble.